You're listening to the Throttle to the Floor podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to today's episode of the Throttle to the Floor podcast. I'm your host, Earnest, here tonight with just myself. I got a quick recap episode to talk about, so let's get right into it. I want to talk about IndyCar first. They were at Road America this past weekend. Pole sitter Alex Palou, he was looking for his fourth Road America win, but he had to settle for fifth at the end of the day after being busted for speeding on lap 29, which took him out of contention. Alex Palou, 5 poles in a row, which is just remarkable by itself. But Marcus Armstrong, it looked like he had this race won, but I mean, he had a comfortable lead with just a few laps to go, looking for his first IndyCar Series win, but suffered mechanical problems with just a few laps to go that took him out. And it looked like Graham Rahal would get another road course third place finish after already doing that at Barber and the Indy Road Course earlier this year. But Rahal got spun on the last lap by eventual third place finisher Will Power, which ties his best finish of the year and best finish with Andretti after finishing third on the streets of Arlington back in March. But what does Dave Malukas have to do to score his first IndyCar win? I mean, he's already racked up 3 second-place finishes this year at the Indy Road Course, the Indy 500, and now Road America. Plus, he had a third-place finish on the pole at Phoenix, but still no victory yet. But somehow, despite suffering front wing damage on lap 1, it was Indy Road Course winner Christian Lundgaard who came all the way from last to first to pick up his second win of the year and win number 3 of his career. And Lundgaard only led 7 laps in doing so. Malukas second, Power third, Kevin Simpson with a season best finish of 4th, and Palou 5th, as we mentioned. Palou now leads Malukas by 60 points, Kirkwood by 61 points, who finished 10th, and Lundgaard by 77 with only 8 races to go. Our picks and standings, I still lead the points by 224 over Evan, 276 over Bernardo, 285 over Stacy, 305 over Haley, 340 over Noah, and Ethan leads Zane by 1 point over the part-time standings. Our picks, I picked Alex Palou, started on pole but got busted with the speeding penalty, as we mentioned, ended up 5th. Evan with Rinus VK only managed an 18th place finish. Haley with Will Power ended up 3rd. Definitely a little controversial, maybe. I mean, being that Will Power wrecked Graham Rahal, but no penalty. Meanwhile, Joseph Newgarden got penalized and ended up 22nd. So, Stacy with Pato Award ended up 12th. Bernardo with Santino Ferrucci ended up 9th. And Noah with Mick Schumacher ended up 17th. Ethan with Kyle Kirkwood ended up 10th. And Zane with Marcus Armstrong just so close to his first IndyCar win, but ended up 24th, DNFing with the mechanical failures. But I want to go to San Diego now. We'll start with the Truck Series. I mean, it may have been a brand new circuit, the Qualcomm circuit around Naval Base Coronado in San Diego in California, but this definitely was a classic truck race. 7 cautions in a 53-lap race. Technically, it was a 50-lap race, but the last caution pushed the race into overtime. Just normal Truck Series action. In just his second Truck Series start and first since 2008 Bristol, Jimmy Johnson led 2 laps and ran inside the top 5 for parts of the afternoon. I was pretty impressed. Jimmy Johnson, for a small sliver of this race, actually, I thought he could win this truck race, but he got spun a couple times and lost power in the final stage. Ultimately, ended up in 30th. Just kind of tragic. Stage 2 winner Parker Kligerman was also in this race. There were a lot of notable names in this Truck Series race, but not very many of them did all that well. Kligerman ended up down in 18th. Justin Marks was in the 77 too. Just not great. Even though it was a brand new circuit. Chandler Smith was in the catbird seat on the lap 52 overtime restarts. He had the lead, more fuel, and fresher tires than teammate and stage 1 winner Lane Riggs, but Smith and Caden Honeycutt crashed on the downhill run towards turn 2. There was a lot of crashes there around in that same spot. Turn 1, downhill to turn 2. You'll notice that over the course of the episode, but that crash opened the door up for Daniel Hemrick until he was passed in the chicane by Tyler Reef coming to the white flag. And man, poor Tyler Reef in just his 7th Truck Series start was just a few corners away from his first win, but he blew the chicane on the last lap, which handed him a 30-second penalty and ultimately saw him finish down in 19th. But it was Lane Riggs who benefited from Tyler Reef's mistake to score the dramatic victory for his 4th win on the season, 9th of his career. In this win, it also secures Lane Riggs a sweep on the street courses for this year, as Riggs also won at St. Petersburg back in March when they had not a doubleheader, but they were together on the same weekend with IndyCar. Hemrick ends up second despite having a tire going down. Kazgrala in third. Landon Lewis with a career best fourth. Ty Majeski rounds out the top 5. Our picks and standings. Evans still has the Truck Series points lead, but his lead's been trimmed up to just 17 points over Stacy, 68 over Bernardo, 104 over Haley, 131 over me, 156 over Noah, and Ethan's got a 26-point lead over Zane in the part-time standings. Our picks. I picked Gio Ruggiero, ended up 10th. He was there, but he never really had winning truck speed. Evan with Jimmy Johnson actually had winning truck speed, but the electrical issues caused him to finish down in 30th. Haley with Ben Rhodes ends up 8th. Stacy picked Chandler Smith, who should have probably won this truck race, but ends up 22nd after getting spun. Bernardo with Jackson Lee ends up 27th. Noah with Brendan Queen ends up 7th. Good day for the Ram trucks. Justin Haley also finished 6th in this race. So Ram continues to make more progress, more steps forward. I've noticed that in the past few weeks they're more in contention with getting top 10 runs now instead of just top 15 runs. Ethan with Caden Honeycutt won the pole, but got caught up in that wreck and spin, ends up 23rd. And Zane with Tyler Ankrum ends up 31st, pounded the wall late in the race as well, which took him out of the race. But man, you want to talk about a wild race, the O'Reilly's race. I mean, apparently the O'Reilly series saw the truck race and thought, how can we make our race even more wild? Or I don't know, something like that. For starters, a 60-lap O'Reilly's race took almost 5 hours to complete, thanks to 2 red flags that totaled almost an hour of stoppage. The first being a manhole cover that came up on lap 1 and destroyed the front of Corey Day's car. NASCAR allowed him to repair his car and get his laps back while they fixed the track. Day actually came all the way back to finishing 10th when it was all said and done, and Day was already in a backup car from wrecking earlier in the weekend. And actually, when Corey Day was coming out onto the track, there was a safety truck going backwards on the track that almost hit him, so that would have been a total embarrassment. But the second red flag was for a 23-car pileup after Sam Mayer got turned into the turn 1 wall, heading down into turn 2, that same spot once again, but running up front and then just an accordion throughout the rest of the field. But that was a 43-minute red flag since the wall had to be repaired, and during then, a fan jumped 2 fences to go try and talk with Sheldon Creed, and I guess it was shades of that fan from 2007 that jumped the guardrail to talk to Matt Kenseth at Watkins Glen. But see the difference? This fan jumped a fence on a racetrack that's on an active military base, Naval Base Coronado. And he didn't even get a picture or anything, unlike the fan from 2007 at Watkins Glen that got a signed Matt Kenseth hat. So, yeah. And the San Diego fan got arrested, too. I mean, what didn't happen in this race at this point? Oh, yeah, that's right. Jeremy Clements broke Kenny Wallace's all-time O'Reilly starts record with his 548th start, and he finished 15th, so good for him. Completely overshadowed by the rest of this race, but, that's pretty Jeremy Clements fashion. But it appeared that Carson Kvapil would finally get his first O'Reilly Series win and extend Junior Motorsports' absurd road course winning streak to 12 in a row. However, Stage 2 winner Taylor Gray wheel-hopped underneath him while battling for the lead with 3 laps to go in Turn 12B, and Kvapil had to settle for 4th, but 2 laps later, however, Gray would get passed on the white flag by Stage 1 winner Austin Hill, who would go on to secure his first road course victory finally. Austin Hill's second win of the season after winning the season opener at Daytona's 16th career win, and the first victory for Richard Childress Racing since the tragic, unfortunate passing of Kyle Busch last month. Austin Hill burned that car down. He burned the car down so much doing burnouts by the Kyle Busch 8 that was painted on the track. he burned the rear tires off and had to get tow truck to victory lane, which it was ironic because the tow truck, the number that was painted on the front of it was the 8. So yeah, but Taylor ends up second, Creed ends up third, Quapple fourth, and Sammy Smith fifth. Sammy Smith and Jesse Love, they both came back from damage in that big wreck to finish fifth and sixth. Of course, not to mention Corey Day coming back from the 400 things he had to deal with in that O'Reilly's race to finish 10th. But our picks and standings, I still lead the O'Reilly's points now by 135 over Stacy, 217 over Haley, 289 over Evan, 310 over Bernardo, 404 over Noah, and Zane's got a pretty substantial lead over Ethan in the part-time standings, mostly because of, picks-wise. Ethan picked Caruth, ended up just 22nd. Zane ended up picking Josh Palicki with a solid 16th place. I picked Quapple. I was really thinking Carson Quapple was going to win this race, but nope. Ends up fourth, though, and gets the fastest lap, so that's an extra point for me. Evan with Brent Cruz, won the pole for the O'Reilly's race, his first O'Reilly's pole, and was up front, but then, just ends up 31st. Just not good. Ends up wrecking out. Same thing with Haley with Sam Mayer, who caused the whole big wreck. Ends up DNFing. Brent Cruz with 2 DNFs this weekend because, in the Cup race, he'd subbed in for Christopher Bell in stage 1, and then the gearbox just went boom. So, not good there. Stacy with Jesse Love ended up 6th. Bernardo with Patrick Starpoli ended up 20th. Noah with Ryan Ellis ended up 30th. Just kind of meh runs. But Cup-wise, at least the Cup race didn't take 5 hours, but that doesn't mean it was without its own chaos, Not to mention, Brent Cruz already with, driver change with Christopher Bell, and then the whole gearbox issue. But the big tipping point was the stage 2 wreck on lap 32. Connor Zilich and O'Reilly's race winner Austin Hill got together at the front of the field once again at the exit of turn 1, heading downhill to turn 2 once again. But that wiped them out along with several other top contenders, including pole winner Shane Van Gisbergen, who came into San Diego having won 6 of the last 7 Cup road course races dating back to Mexico City last year. The exception was a second to Tyler Reddick at COTA back in March, which, speaking of Reddick, this race boiled down to another battle of Toyotas. It's not the first time we've said that this year, but this time more specifically 2311 Toyotas, as late in the race they were 1, 2, 3. With Reddick leading, Corey Heim second in the part-time 67 entry, and Bubba Wallace in third, who had come all the way back from being 2 laps down after losing a wheel at the end of stage 1, which, of course, in true NASCAR fashion, they handed out that penalty today, so, the crew members will get a 2-week vacation. But, even Riley Herbst ran up in the top 10 late before ultimately finishing 8th, which tied his best career Cup finish, along with the Daytona 500 back in February. But back to the battle for the lead, Heim was able to run down and pass Reddick late before Reddick tried the crossover move into turn 5, but they made contact that ran them both up out of the groove, and Reddick conceded the lead to Heim. He said later that he just didn't feel like that's how he should have raced, let alone his teammate, even though Heim was in the part-time car, but, I digress. Reddick ultimately ended up cutting a tire anyways the next lap while running second, faded from second all the way down to 25th at the finish, which could ultimately, honestly, decide the regular season championship, but more on that in a second. Corey Heim coasted to his first career Cup Series victory, just his 13th series start, by 10.365 seconds over 2311 teammate Bubba Wallace, giving 2311 their first 1-2 finish in their organization's history. Kyle Larson third, Zane Smith fourth, and AJ Allmendinger rounds out the top 5. Heim becomes just the 17th driver since 1981 in the last, 45 years to win their first Cup Series race in 20 starts or less, joining elite company with other drivers such as Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Davey Allison, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. All 5 of those drivers either are, or in Harvick's case, soon to be NASCAR Hall of Famers, as Harvick will be inducted in January as part of the class 2027. The other 4 are already NASCAR Hall of Famers. So pretty good company there. Heim's boss, 2311 Carter, Denny Hamlin, further cut into 2311 drivers Tyler Reddick's points lead. Reddick's 25th place finish instead of second, or a win, to Hamlin's 14th has cut the gap down now to just 8 points between them with 9 races left until the chase begins. I mean, Reddick had like a 120-point lead after Charlotte, and then Hamlin ripped off 3 wins in a row, and then a 14th at San Diego to Reddick's 25th instead of Reddick finishing either first or second. I mean, it's just, that has chopped that lead way down. And I mean, we got another twist now to think about. Year 2 of the in-season challenge begins this weekend at Sonoma as well, with additional stops in Chicagoland, Atlanta, aka Echo Park, whatever, North Wilkesboro, and the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis over the next 5 races. So that will be something to watch as well. Our picks and our standings: I still lead the Cup points now by 76 over Haley, 147 over Stacy, 161 over Evan, 187 over Bernardo, 315 over Noah, and let me do some math. Ethan leads Zane by 60 points. In the part-timer wise, I lost 20 points off my points lead by picking SVG. He won the pole but got caught up in that big wreck and nowhere to go. So I end up DNFing in 38th. Evan with Tyler Reddick ends up 25th after cutting the tire from second with 2 laps to go. Haley with Michael McDowell comes back to finish 10th late in this race. Stacy with Chase Elliott ends up 12th. Bernardo with Ross Chastain ends up 7th. Noah with Austin Stendrick ends up 22nd. Ethan with AJ Allmendinger ends up 5th, which Allmendinger this weekend at Sonoma will make his 500th Cup Series start, so good for him. And Zane with Connor Zilic ends up 37th, DNFing, also caught up in that big Stage 2 wreck. But moving on now, lastly, I want to talk about good old Hot Sauce Hurricane segment, a.k.a. how Gio Scelzi and Carson Hocevar are, a.k.a. their 2 nicknames, Hot Sauce and Hurricane. I put them together, because why not? What an eventful weekend for the both of them. I'll start with Giovanni Scelzi, who ran 4 races in 4 nights this past weekend at Houston Speedway in South Dakota and improved every night, culminating in a 4th place finish last Saturday night in the finale of the Billion Auto Houston's High Bank Nationals, which paid out $300,000 to event winner David Gravel. $300,000, that's a lot of money. But Carson Hocevar, man, qualified second at San Diego and actually had a chance to win late until Himes spun him in the chicane and, of course, eventually went on to win the race. While Hocevar only finished 19th, but on Tuesday, Hocevar and his spotter Tyler Green hosted an episode of Dale Jr. Download, and right off the bat, it's like as soon as they started the episode, it was like 11 o'clock Eastern time, in North Carolina, but I guess apparently Dale Jr. starts the episode at like 8 o'clock because he was thinking that Hocevar would already be done, because it's like as soon as they started it, Dale was calling, they're just like, "Oh, you guys done?" And then Hocevar's just like, "No, we just started." So, yeah, but they also talked about how Hocevar, if he had won, this was funny, he'd park it in turn 7 because he knew there was a gap there, and then he'd just go to the aircraft carrier and jump off into the water and have the Navy pulling out, Carson Hocevar things. But they also talked about the post-race beef between Noah Gragson and Project 91 driver Kevin Magnuson, where Kevin told Noah to F off and, just typical run-ins. But Hocevar also talked about his takes of Reddick's sportsmanship with Heim, conceding the lead. I don't know. And then his own run-in with Heim that we talked about earlier, which Hocevar asked for Heim's number from, Ask Denny Hamlin, and since Hamlin didn't know what happened, he actually gave Heim's phone number. So we'll see if anything comes about that. But Heim's not running at Sonoma. However, he is running at Chicagoland in 2 weeks, so we'll see if anything comes about that. And wait a minute, Kay Adams, yeah, apparently she was the pace car driver, and since Hocevar qualified second on the front row, they were having a little fun before the green flag. I mean, first Sabrina, now Kay Adams. I mean, who has Hocevar not talked to at this point? But I mean, it's a great episode. Y'all should tune in. I mean, Hocevar just has confidence, like, through the roof. He's got, like, confidence on steroids. It's like, there's people that have high confidence, and then there's Carson Hocevar at this point. But we go from the streets of San Diego to wine country in Sonoma, California for Cup and O'Reilly's last road course race of the season, and also the start of the in-season challenge, which encompasses the 5 races on TNT's portion of the calendar. I hope TNT can take a big step forward this year, as last year was kind of a mixed bag performance-wise. In my opinion, when TNT is good, they're as good as Amazon Prime. When they're bad, they're as bad as, like, Fox. So it's like it's a pretty, it's like one end of the spectrum to the other pretty much. Which, man, it sucks that Prime we won't be back till next year. But I mean, Jeff Gluck did sit down with one of the Amazon people talking about, hey, maybe Prime could have more races in the future. But of course, the next TV deal doesn't end until like 2031, so we still got a good 5 years until then. But we'll see. Maybe Prime ends up buying out somebody's contract or something. I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible to do. But anyways, NHRA, they also reached their halfway point of the season this weekend with the 20th annual Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals from Norwalk, Ohio, and I will be there in true Norwalk fashion. I will have to try some of their ice cream. I will let you know about that. But we'll talk about it next time. But that's all we got for today's episode of the Throttle for Podcast. Make sure you tune in and listen and download and watch on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Check out the Chill Photography and Throttle for Podcast Instagrams and TikToks. And yeah, that's all we got. And we'll see y'all next time.